إني ألقى الإناس في صومي وصلاتي ودعائي للرحمن وجميع الطاعات.
Now I just wanted to really ask you about the third, on a third instance here, just to ask you about your own experience. I mean, how did you come to Sunni Islam? What was your experience?
Well, as you correctly mentioned, I was born and raised in a religious Shia family, and it's very important. That's why I emphasize and underline it religious, because it is correct that many Iranians, not just outside Iran, but even inside Iran, are يعني بعد من الدين. How do we say this?
Far away from the religion.
They're far away from religion.
Yeah.
I'm not generalizing. I'm not saying the majority, but I'm saying it's huge numbers. It's known. I remember I lived in Germany. I went to France. I went to different countries. Everywhere you go, first thing you hear from people from universities and where they say, "Oh, Iranians, they don't fast. These Iranians, I know these Iranians, they eat pork. Oh, they're not religious at all, except very few." Well, this is of course an own topic on itself, and I personally believe this is the failed revolution. Of course, not just the failed revolution, the failed religion that doesn't nurture you, despite its claim. It's very ironic. The Shia religion and the scholars, they claim that it's very ma'nawiyan, how you say it, spiritual, right? Okay. Very spiritual, and it's the truth and the madhab of Ahl Bayt. But I'm not saying they are not. I have seen apostates from Egypt. I have seen from different Arab countries. I've seen from Afghanistan. But nothing compares to the number of Iranian Shia people who leave Islam altogether, what they believe to be Islam. This is known. And I remember I did a research I went to the website of the Norwegian website, and I saw a documentary in Germany. I speak German as well. Both countries said that the only group of immigrants from the early 90s on who convert to Christianity and stay Christian are who? Among all Muslim nations, Iranians. They're the only people who were basically the priest or the pastor, the church, he admitted, he said, most people do it for papers.
But do you think they're doing it for papers? Yeah, I was going to say.
No, they don't. There are, of course, among Iranians as well who do it for paper. But it was so funny to me because the pastor on TV, on live TV, said, you know what, Moroccans, Afghans, there's some who become Christian. It's very rare. Except one nation. And then I was smiling, look at my family members. I said, guess who, which one? Everybody do, Iranians. So look, although it is correct, apostasy, you will find it in every religion and in every nation. But what I'm saying here is no over-exaggeration. It is the plain truth. It is shocking the numbers. And here we can enter the next chapter. We can open the next chapter. How I left Shiism. Yeah. I myself, coming from a more religious family, obviously most people in the West, I was born in Iran. We moved during the Iran-Iraq war to Europe. I grew up in Europe. Most Iranians, obviously, in Europe were not religious. My family, however, we were from a religious background, especially my father's side. Both my father and my mother's side. My mother's side, they're more, I don't want to use the word moderate, but compared to my father, less religious. My father's side, very religious family, a known family in Tehran and Shemiran. This is where I'm from. Shemiran is a town, really, which is today part of Greater Tehran. It used to be an own town, Shemiran. So, me coming from this background, because there's many Iranians, their background is, I don't know, Shah followers, they call them, from the monarchy. And when you say that I left Shiism, they say, oh, you're one of these Shah followers, you're from these people who were never Shia in the first place. No. My family is a very religious family. My family, Iran, influential. In fact, my grandfather who passed away, he was a strong supporter of Khomeini. Right until the end of his life, where then he started to regret, and may Allah forgive his sins. So I only had this back in my mind that, oh, look, I'm from a religious family, we're Shia. We're not the type of Iranians who, we are not Muslims. There are many of these kind of Iranians, you will find loads of them, or Iranians who became Christian. No, we considered ourselves Shia, Muslim, and from my father's background, whenever I visited Iran, my auntie and a number of family members, they were very religious back in those times. in the early 90s. And so there was always this awareness there. So I always had it. And then when I reached puberty, you say, right? I always had a very strong affiliation to Islam, defending Islam. However, I didn't have much knowledge. So what did I do? I had a very close friend who passed away, rahimahullah. I said to him, we are Muslims, right? He said to me, yes. I said, but we're not practicing enough. Not salah on time, sometimes no salah at all. And in the rest of the Iranian community is even worse. There's no salah, ma fi salah, ma fi siyam, as Arabs say, nothing. So he said to me, yeah, you're right. So imagine somebody who is only, I was 16, 17. Back then in the 90s, 16, 17, that was the last thing people do, to go themselves knocking at the masjid's door. Especially that European country I grew up, it's not like London, what they call it Londonistan, and since the 90s. There were crazy people who do that. So I said to him, tomorrow we're going to go, knock at the masjid's door and say we want to learn. We want to learn the deen, Quran, Salah, Siyam, everything. He said to me, you sure? I said, yes. So we went to the central station and subhanAllah, qaddar Allah. That was the decree of Allah. That should have happened. Because there was a taxi driver. Where was he from? In our town, city, is a city. Most taxi drivers were from Iran and Afghanistan. So imagine I would have approached an Egyptian like yourself, or a Moroccan, or he would send me to Masjid al-Tawheed, Masjid al-Nur, masjids of Ibadah and Tawheed and Siyam, Ibadah of Allah alone, subhanahu wa ta'ala. But this was not written for me. I asked somebody, he said to me, he saw that I'm confused. I was looking for a bus that takes me to because in our city, most of the mosques were around the central station. He said, what are you looking for? I said, I want to go mosque. I said it not in Farsi. Then he understood that I'm a Persian speaker. He said to me, are you Iranian? I said, yes. He said to me, all right, take this bus, it'll take you there. Masjid Imam Ali. I said, oh, thank you. Salam alaikum. Ya Ali Madad. Just for you to know, this is, now when I remember it, it makes myself laugh. But,
This way, how you said goodbye to each other?
This sentence itself, you can make a dars, 1 hour dars about it. A culture that claims it's Islamic. A madhab that claims it's Islamic. A madhab that claims is upon the beliefs of Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu. And we are not. We follow Bani Umayyah, they claim. We are dal, mudillin, we are dalin, we are misguided, and they are guided. Yet in their it's not something ignorance to. It is pure Shia religious culture. Instead of saying Salam alaikum, Ya Ali Madad. Madad is Arabic. Madad means help. Basically, like you see in Egypt, in Saudi, in the Khalij, people say Allah al-Musta'an. Allah al-Musta'an. Allah al-Musta'an. Al-Musta'an is who? You are an Arabic speaker as well. It comes from isti'ana, right? From help. You need all sorts of help is from Allah. Constantly Muslims, Ahlul Sunnah mention Allah, Allah, Alhamdulillah.
Is that something that sort of made you more move towards Sunni?
We will come to that.
Okay.
We will come to that. That was the first little shock.
Okay.
Not that I didn't know it. Somebody might say, you didn't know that? Every Iranian says this. Now, of course I know it. But realizing you want to go to a mosque and most Iranians are not religious. This guy was more or less religious. Saying salam to you with Ya Ali Madad. There's another form. They say Ya Ali Yarit. Yar means sahib.
This in what language is it?
It's Farsi.
Okay.
Ali. Yar means sahib. Sahib, you understand, means your companion, friend. So Ali Yarit means what? Ali, your companion. Ali protects you.
Okay.
So imagine, in religious Iranian Shia culture, it is common to say by Ali, Ya Ali Madad. Ali is the source, Ali is the help, and Ali Yarid. Ali is a companion, Ali will protect you. Ali, A'udhu Billah, there's another one I forgot. Ali pushta panahet. Ali may be your back and front, may protect you. Problem is, brother, when you mention these things, they will say, oh, this is tawassul, this is, they open another can of worms where they want to drag you into other discussion, which has nothing to do with it. Giving pure heretical, non-Islamic, polytheistic practices, the stamp of what do you call it? An Islamic approval stamp. As if you call something which is khurafi, which is superstitious, which is bid'ah, which is something never Ali bin Abi Talib did, never the Ahl Bayt did, you just call it tawassul or you call it this and then it's fine. Anyway, so that was the first little shock, right? Because of course I was born a Shia. Of course I heard it before. How I was thirsty for Islam. I wanted my thirst to be quenched by Islam. So I saw other people around me, although as I mentioned, it was very rare people in my age to be religious in the 90s where I was from. But I knew the Muslims say salam alaikum wa alaikum salam. طيب, in Farsi, it's not common to say wa alaikum salam, or when Persian in language, when you say bye, you say khuda hafiz. Khuda hafiz means, khuda yani Allah, yani fi amanillah. I'm not saying they don't say this. Of course they say khuda hafiz as well. But they also say these shirkiyat that I just mentioned you. You know, sometimes people say, we worship Allah also. Sometimes we call upon Him alone as well. Yeah, but it's common to say, Ali yarid. Ali pushed upon it. Ya Ali madad. Just because you add a khuda hafiz sometimes, or often, or less, that doesn't change it.
That's how they say hello and goodbye to each other.
That's very common. A'udhu billah. It's very common. So, headed towards the masjid. It was called Masjid Imam Ali. And it's funny, they love it. And I realized when the first time when I visited London, the Islamic Center of England, you know, they're very confident. They don't call themselves the Islamic Center of London, it's the Islamic Center of England, mashallah. Same where I was from, they called themselves the Islamic Center of that city. So nobody, I don't know who made them the Islamic Center always, but wherever they go, especially the Iranian branches, which is from the regime, they call themselves quickly the Islamic Center. Yeah. We went there, beautiful monument, nice mosque. I knocked literally at the door. A person, maybe he's watching even right now. His name is Hassani. He was a good man. He helped me. He helped me really with some basics. I knocked at his door. I said, I want to learn Quran. I want to learn proper salah. Maybe I do some mistakes. Maybe I don't know. All the rules about Siyam, everything. I was so thirsty for deen. And he said, no problem. So to cut the long story short, because now I was at least, I think, like 2 years proper active there. And I was not a random person who was known there, who comes from Salah. I was like at the top from the youth, who organize, who are there. I lived, you have to imagine, here, you guys in the UK and in London especially, so easy. You have every I don't know, 10 minutes there's a mosque somewhere. Even in an area where there's not many Muslims, there's definitely a mosque. I had to travel every day, 1 hour to this mosque. And I loved it to go because I was thirsty for Islam. So it took me every day 1 hour to go there. As I mentioned, where I grew up, we did not have masjids every 10 minutes. Or it was literally around the central station, you have to travel there. And I lived west of the city and then the central station. But I loved it because, as I said, I had a thirst for Islam. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Even my family members and surroundings, they said, what's wrong with him? There were many Iranians in my neighborhood where I grew up, many Moroccans and other people. But my family especially said, why is such a love for Islam so strong? So alhamdulillah, I always had it from, if I may claim, from the very beginning. So I went there to this place. I knocked at the door of somebody whose name, Mr. Hassan, there's a million Iranians, their name is Hassani, so I'm not exposing nobody. So I went to the particular mosque. It is, I don't want to mention it because there's no need to I mentioned already his name. People will know me. People who are watching right now, they know exactly who I am. So, but it's of no interest to the viewers. It was one of the biggest markaz, Shi'i markaz in Europe. So I went there, I knocked at the door, and I said literally, you have to teach me everything. And it was very strange to them. You have to understand, this is, you see, here I have to explain bits and parts of Iranian culture and the current situation. Religion in general is perceived amongst Iranians. You know, how bad the situation is. Imagine how bad the situation is for the mullahs themselves. Then when I knocked at the door, they thought that I'm from the mukhabarat, from the intelligence, or from maybe hooligans, or someone who's taking it as a joke. They couldn't believe it, because the only people who came to the mosque, even here in the West. I remember first time I visited London, and I saw Ashura. On the day of Ashura, I passed the Kilburn Mosque, Islamic Center of England, mashallah. I saw suddenly hundreds of Iranians. Hundreds. Many. There were non-Iranians as well. All of them had a food. It's a very famous food we have. It's very nice, by the way. It's called qaymeh. It's a nice food, but it's especially given on Ashura and Muharram. I saw all of them, each of them with one under their armpit. Then I was with a Pakistani brother. I said to them, do you know what's going on here? He said to me, brother, I just know this place is always empty normally, but when it's Muharram, suddenly, pff. I said, Akhi, I was active in a major, big Iranian center. On the day of Ashura, and Muharram generally, especially on the day of Ashura, they told us, because I told you, I was very active in the mosque. Over 3,000 Iranians come. But normally, in normal days, not just normal days, even Jum'ah, the majority of people who came to Jum'ah were non-Iranians. Why is that? It's because Iranians are so far from religion. It is so strange. It was so strange even to the mosque when they saw me. They thought that I'm the son of some mullah. Or that I might be some son of someone from the embassy. We had an embassy in the city. She said, are you son from? I said, no. So look, in your culture, if an Egyptian goes to the mosque, it's normal, an Egyptian Muslim comes. Nobody associates it with politics or you being son of a mullah or son of a sheikh. It's normal. You have a beard, it's normal. Many Egyptians you have it. In Iran, the situation is so bad that if you look at certain type religious Islamic, according to them, they call you Basiji, mullah's son, or they think you're one of this type. Which again shows how bad the situation is. How bad, what they have done in the last 35 and more plus years, that Iranians are so far from religion that if you happen to be Iranian religious, first thing people will assume from the mullah, from the regime.
So what was the turning point for you? What made you actually think about Sunnism?
Well, in these 2 and plus years I was active in that mosque, I saw, of course, a lot of things. There's so many shocking incidences of blatant shirk, blatant polytheism, which you can't excuse it with tawassul and coming and playing around with these shara'i, with these legal
What
terms.
Exactly was...
I give you an example. There were so many things that happened. I need to give you a few examples. It was Muharram. Muharram to the Shias is a month of wailing and lamenting and wailing. Not 1 day or 2 days, the whole month. Plus, Arba'in comes then. Arba'in means the 40th. So the 40th day after the demise of somebody. Yeah. So anyway, it was Muharram. Everybody came. Most people came who never come to the mosque. They never come to Salah, praying Allah. They never come to Ramadan, sitting there praying to Allah alone. But suddenly when it came to Ashura, lamenting, wailing, and getting their qaymeh, their food, each under the armpit one, suddenly the mosque, 3,000 people were there. So we cooked for these 3,000 people, and you know what they say, عَظَّمَ اللَّهُ أُجُورَكُمْ. How you translate it in Arabic? Because there were Arabs there and Persians there. They say, may Allah reward you. Yeah? But there was then one person who was standing on a lorry and said, and may Imam Hussein also reward all of you. I was like, I was looking, I was like frozen. I was frozen. These kind of teachings are common, they are sanctified, they are approved, they are mainstream. Nobody gets shocked. You will get shocked, and the Sunni viewer will get shocked. Trust me, most Shias, unfortunately, will not get shocked. And those who do get shocked and say, no, but I don't do this. I don't call Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas Bab al-Hawaj, the gate of the fulfiller of my needs. A'udhu billah.
So what was the
That's
last
Allah.
straw on the camel's back for you? What said, I can't.
Well, these kind of things, hearing them in Muharram saying, may Imam Hussein reward you, Abul Fadl is the gate of the fulfill of our needs.
Yeah.
By the way, some other Imams, they call it as well. Imam Musa al-Kadhim, they call him as well, Babul Hawa'ij. And all these things always, it had a huge influence on me, as in, I knew something is wrong.
So when did you become Sunni, basically?
It was when my beliefs became shaky, when
Yeah.
I was at that center. And it was a time where I studied and read. I had a library in a number of languages. It was not somebody who was just I wasn't just a follower.
Yeah.
I was active. I was a leader. So, but these things obviously had an influence on me. And deep inside myself, I knew something is wrong. But that's why I mentioned the psychological part, that people who are in a minority are always defensive. So I remember one day I was making wudu. And then there was one Shi'i fellow who knew me. He said to me, "You, Hassan, you're dangerous." So why? He said, "You're going to become one day Wahhabi." I said to him, "Wallahi, I will never leave Imam Hussein alayhi salam." And you know, brother, I believe that I did not lie on that day, because there is a Ex-Shia from Bahrain. It's a famous book in Arabic. Unfortunately, you see, we Ahlul Sunnah, we are muqassirin. We haven't done our work, our homework. All this stuff is not translated. It's a book by an ex-Shi'i person from Bahrain who wrote, the translation, you could translate it as how I gained the Sahaba and did not lose their Ahlul Bayt. So I wasn't lying when I said, Wallahi, I will never leave Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. And I did not. Because by leaving Tashayyur, you are not leaving the Ahlul Bayt. This logic is like, it's difficult to understand, to fathom from the Shia side. But for us as Muslims, it should be very logical. Just like when you do da'wah to a Christian person, let's say he's an Egyptian, Coptic Egyptian. You say, by becoming Muslim, are you losing Jesus? Or are you becoming a real follower of Jesus? Are you giving him his haqq that he deserves? No ghulu, no exaggeration. You're going to say you want to become a real follower of Jesus. Because of what you are upon right now is ghulu. It's extremism, is over-exaggeration. So same with me. So in these 2 years when I was there, when I had my beliefs became shaky, but I couldn't express it. It was in 2003. So and now we are heading to the end of my story. It was in 2003 where there was the last time I visited Iran. Obviously since then I never visited Iran. I can't, of course, because of my activities and TV and so on and so forth. So 2003 summer was the last time I visited Iran. I still considered myself, of course, Shi'i, but it even gave me, I was, how you say it, zealous? I was like...
Zealous.
Yeah, because it was the first time I went, I was 19, it was a good age. Before I used to go when I was like, I think I was under 14, so this time I was 19 years old. I said, I want to see everything. I want to see the Jumu'ah prayer, I want to go to the scholars, I want to go to this mosque, that mosque, as much as possible. So I've been there. Again, I can tell you thousands of incidents, shock over shock over shock over shock. But we don't have this time, so I'm going to take some gems from here and there. First thing I wanted to do was to pray Fajr. So I woke up for Fajr. Look, you know these Western movies in the morning when there's nothing and something blows like this, when like it's dead. So I was outside, it looked dead. Dead, the city was dead. I saw an old woman, a grandmother. She looked at me, she said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm here to pray. I want to go pray Fajr, Jama'ah, Masjid, Islamic Republic of Iran." She said to me, "Boy, nobody prays. The mosques are closed. It's closed. Do you understand? For Fajr is closed and there's a tape for Adhan." I was completely shocked. As you can imagine, I was shocked. Now I knew one thing, brother, and you and most viewers will not know this. Shias are very lenient when it comes to Jama'ah prayer, and they know it themselves, brother. Their sufuf are not proper straight, shoulder to shoulder. Forget about it. So I went back home, went to sleep, isn't it? Went to pray, and then I went to sleep, wake up next day. I woke up next day, went to the closest mosque, local mosque, which was called Mahdaviyat. Of course, every mosque, you won't find mosques with the name Masjid al-Tawheed, Masjid al-Nur, like where you, just by pronouncing the name, there's Islam, Tawheed, Sunnah, Mahdaviyat. Not Mahdi, Fatima, Al-Hassan, these are beautiful names. And we have mosques which are named. I remember in Egypt, there's Masjid al-Hussein.
Yeah.
We love these names, but everything named only after Ahlul Bayt. Ghulu, everywhere you smell scent, literally, over exaggeration with the Ahlul Bayt. So the next day, I woke up, I said to my mother, I need to go to the local mosque, I need to find out, how do they do things here? Maybe it's this area. So nobody thinks that this area had plenty of so-called mosques. So I went to our local mosque, Mahdaviyat was called. SubhanAllah, again, yes, born as a Shi'i, raised as a Shi'i, in back of your mind, you know these things somehow. But akhi, sometimes you need to see things, isn't it? Don't they say you can describe to someone who never ate a strawberry? So the strawberry is sweet, but he ate a cherry, you know what a cherry is. It's like sweet like a cherry. But it has this and that. That person needs to actually taste it so you understand what it is. So same with me, being raised, or most of my time, having been lived in Europe, yes, was religious in the center, was watching videos, lectures by Shia scholars. I knew a lot of things, how the environment is, but actually entering their places of worship. So this was what happened. I entered, the first thing I saw, 50, 60 or more pictures and the entrance of the mosque. Images. I had immediately the feeling like, this, when you go to, I don't know if in Egypt, you guys have churches, you have these Coptic people who are very similar to, they are Orthodox, they call themselves Orthodox, they're a form of Orthodoxy, so they're very into images, isn't it? Even their priests, on their clothes, on their garments, they have images. So subhanAllah, the first thing I saw, everywhere images. And that was shocking to me. Yes, I am Shia born. Yeah, I should have known this, and images are very normal to them. As you know, they draw images of the Imams. It's permissible according to all marja. I don't know any marja. Marja is the title of Grand Ayatollah, who every Shia has to follow a marja. I don't know any marja who prohibits. They only come up with very word clauses, like they say, as long as it's not disrespectful towards the Ahlul Bayt. What do you mean disrespectful? When you have seen the images, how they draw the Ahlul Bayt, to us, it's something completely it's despicable.
So going back to the mosque, you went into the mosque, you saw all these images, it didn't sit well with you. What happened then?
Well, going inside the mosque, having seen these images, I asked, what are these images about? In the entrance, there were like over 50 images. They said, these are the shuhada from the war. So you see, something new happened in Shia history, Iran-Iraq war, new khurafat, new superstitions, more bid'ah, more turning a place of worship, only Allah should be remembered, adding more images. Already there was an image of Khomeini and Khamenei and of Imam Ali, what they claim, and now 50 and more from this area, which are the shuhada, what you call it, shuhada? Martyrs of the Iran-Iraq war. Then I went inside, brother. Inside is very important to just describe quickly what I saw inside. Their places of worship, how do they look generally? Mostly draped, you say? When it's wrapped or draped? Yeah, draped, you say. Draped in black, reddish and black colors. And on the minbar, on top of the mihrab is the place where the Imam stands. Ya Fatima. There were like signs, like have you seen like from a shop where there's an offer, they made like these signs, Ya Zahra, Ya Ali. It was completely shocking. The prayer things they pray on, which people wrongly call it stones. Obviously, they don't pray to the stones. This is a wrong statement, whoever says this. Even calling it stone is not right. You can call it a mud, pressed mud, or cloak, or what they say, clay, sorry. I remember how I always used to defend these beliefs, for example, when Sunnis say, what is this you're praying on? No, it's the Sunnah, because in Bukhari or here's a narration, the Prophet prayed on earth. You see, brother, making up beliefs, yeah, and then looking for evidences. Yeah, of course the Prophet ﷺ prayed on earth, for example. The masjid back then was on earth. But we have narrations that he prayed on his, when it was hot, on his garment. Something not allowed at all in Shiism. You're not allowed to pray on anything which is not made from soil. Besides, I remember one time a Sunni coming to me saying to me, so this is Sunnah what you have? I said, yes. He said, show me. This turba in my bag. You know what was written on my turba? 99% of these turbat, these prayer clays which you have, Ya Ali, Ya Musa ibn al-Rida. Musa ibn al-Rida, Ali ibn Musa al-Rida, Imam al-Rida, the 8th Imam who's buried in Mashhad in Iran. So he said to me, so that's Tawheed, that's Islam. Ya Musa ibn al-Rida, Ya Ali, Ya Zahra, Ya Hussein. The Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we do bid'ah with Sunnis. This is what we're missing, right? What should I have said? Of course, unfortunately, this is my experience. Most Shi'is look for excuse after excuse after excuse. There is no excuse. You should be honest. You should call it what it is. Khurafa. Superstitious. Bid'ah. If this is not bid'ah, what is this? So, I stayed 2 weeks there in Iran. Last time that I stayed in Iran in 2003. In this mosque that shocked me, that I just described, I went to a few other mosques, talked to some mu'ammimeen, turban wearers, they're scholars. So in my 4 week stay, one month stay there, in that place the mosque that I went, and other mosques, so-called mosque I visited, I experienced more things. For example, I realized they don't speak Arabic, the scholars. It was shocking to me. Because I'm not saying that every scholar from non-Arabic countries, you go to Turkey, for example, you go to, Bangladesh, not everybody knows Arabic, but Hifzul Quran and decent amount of Arabic, somebody who studied for 8-10 years, it's common. Sunnis are known to be Huffaz. For example, circles of Hifzul Quran. Where do you find this? Only in Sunni mosques. You think when I went to them, you will find circles of Quran, memorizing the Quran, learning the Arabic language. It's very rare. So I went to this mosque and that mosque and this mosque. I myself back then, my Arabic was very weak. But I knew Arabic. So I asked, for example, this sheikh and this one, do you know, ma tatkallam Arabi. Ma atkallam Arabi. Shock. That in my local mosque, this Mahdaviyat, I met a group of Basij. You know, Basij are this paramilitary, you call? Paramilitary. Influential people they were. One of them was very influential. He was very excited meeting somebody from the West who's religious. As I told you, it's so rare, especially coming from the West. Most people Iranians who come from the West visiting Iran, they do anything but going to the mosque. So he said to me, brother, next week or a few days, I don't know what it was, I'm going to take you to the Husseiniya of Agha. Agha means and he Sayyid, and he meant Khamenei. I'm going to take you to the Husseiniya of Khamenei. What was that about, brother? It was, people think the Shias, they lament and they mourn the Ashura only in Muharram. No, there's more. There's a lot of days throughout the year for lamenting and wailing and crying. Constant sadness. So I knew what it was about. It was Ayyam Fatimiyya, they call it. Ayyam Fatimiyya, the days of Fatima, which they believe Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu has killed Fatima, and all these things, lies, refuted 1,000 times and more. This is what they believe, and they celebrate in Iran. Iran that claims unity and between Muslims, that's what they not celebrate, or what is the English term? Mourn, yeah. So I said to him, you're going to take me to Khamenei to see Khamenei? He said, yes. So I don't know what day it was. He picked me up with his car. And Khamenei's Husseiniya. Husseiniya means, you see, they invented a place of worship beside the mosque. Muslims only have masjid. Masjid comes from sajada. Sajada means to prostrate, sujood. It's a place of sujood, place of worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. They invented another place of worship, which they call what? Again, named after humans, of course. Husseiniya. Not even after the Prophet. It's not called Muhammadiyya. You see the ghulu, I like it, another Ex-Shia friend of mine said, it's interesting, in Shiism the ghulu isn't even with the Prophet. We do have certain branches in Islam where there's a lot of ghulu with the Prophet ﷺ. We know that. They are known. But here, in the case with the Shias, the ghulu is not even with the Prophet, it's with Hussein. Anyway, so they call it Husseiniyat. Husseiniyat, what they claim are branches of the shrine of Imam Hussein. That's how they explain it, that's how they justify it. They say it's not a bid'ah. They say there is the shrine of Hussein, and the message of Hussein is spread through Husseyniyat. Where is this in the Sunnah? Where is this in the Quran? We are not Quranis only. We don't say it must be in the Quran only. Where is this in the Quran in the Mutawatir Sunnah? Where? Where did the Prophet hasn't even started something in his name, calling it Muhammadiyat, did he? Let alone Husseyniyat. So anyway, Khamenei's Husseyniyah is what you might have seen or viewers have seen on news when Khamenei gives important speeches. There's a blue carpet. It is his personal Husseyniyah. So when there is certain events, people come there. Mourning and speeches is all going there. So he took me actually there. So I remember that they went there. I was looking at all these revolutionary guards and police. And I said, how are we going to go there? There are thousands of people there. How are we going to pass there? He said to me, don't worry, I have connection. I'm going to take you there. So we went there. And there was like literally, it was like a concert, sorry, what should I call it? It's super security. And so we went through this, what do you call it? Where, like in the airport, when you go through this thing when they look for weapons and this check. So then one of these guards said, who's this? The person I was with, his name was Mohammed. There's Mohammed, a friend of mine there. He said, one of my friends, don't worry. I said, what do you mean, don't worry? Who is this? He said, he's with me. SubhanAllah, this guard suddenly, his face changed. Like as if when he emphasized, that's it, let us through. We went through, I was like, then I realized this guy really has something to say. We went inside and the main row was for the first row was for very important people, officials. So he brought us really, really, really front row. And then, brother, I saw, back then Khatami was the president. Khatami came, Rafsanjani came, Shahrudi came, Ayatollah Shahrudi. And then just before Khamenei came, a hype. It was like a concert. I remember even what they used to say. They used to shout, Salla ala Muhammad, Booya Fatima, Umar. Khurafat. Salla ala Muhammad, yani peace and blessings on Muhammad and the family of Muhammad. The scent of Muhammad is coming. The scent of Fatima is coming. And he calling Khamenei the ally of the mass murderer of the Syrian children, the ally of Bashar, calling him the scent of Fatima, this criminal person.
But this was before, obviously, the war.
That was obviously before the war. This is, we're talking about 2003. But it doesn't matter. It's not that he hasn't committed crimes. Yeah. So I saw this Khamenei person there, people beating themselves, slapping themselves. Yeah, no razors involved, no knives involved, but that doesn't make it better. And when I saw this, brother, there's just a very important point I have to make. They have a lot of power. The Maraja, Shi'i scholars have a lot of power upon the layman because they're commoners. Because there's the taqleed, what they call it, taqleed is very strong rooted in them. Literally, they follow blindly the scholars. They claim it's only in fiqh and not aqidah, but most of them don't research. So, seeing what was going there when the moment Khamenei came in, people slapping this up. Even that Muhammad guy was with me, was holding my hand and said, don't worry, what you're seeing is a bit extreme, but, it's, some do a little bit extreme. I couldn't accept what he said because I was like, these people with a snap, they can stop everything. In Iran, for example, brother, the tie is forbidden, prohibited in official, in schools, in official buildings, government buildings. You're not allowed to wear a tie. Did you know that? It's because they say it's a symbol of imperialism and Westernism and so on and so forth. So this person, Khamenei, in the regime who can prohibit something like a tie in schools and in government buildings, right? Why is he not doing nothing? Look how they behave. Is this a way of mourning? Anyway, a lot of things happen. I saw more of this, more khurafat, more superstitions, more shirkiyat. I told you about even the way people greet Ya Ali, how people say bye. Ali Yaret, push to Panahed, Ali, may Allah be with you, protect you, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of things I could tell, but really to cut it short, I came back to Europe. It was autumn is about to start. I have more and more doubts. I became friend with a person. No, first I did not become friend with him. There was a website, subhanAllah. May Allah bless these brothers. It was sunnahcyber.com. It was a Persian, English, Thai website. Completely confused. What is this? They had a lot of articles refuting Shiism. common Shi'i doubts. Abu Huraira this, Umar that, Abu Bakr this.
Well, so is it still on now?
No, it's not. Long time it's gone. But when I saw this as a Shia, I was still a Shia. I wrote to the admin, I said, you Nasibi, enemy of Ahlul Bayt, enemy of Ahlul Bayt, gonna refute everything you wrote. He was a very good adab, of very good manners. He said to me, brother, I know you're not going to believe me, he said, I'm a former Shia scholar from Tehran. I had to fled Iran completely because my family is super religious and biased. And look, I'm going to prove to you that Shiism, 12 Imamism, is based on the most shaky foundations you can imagine. Mutashabihat, we call it in Arabic, and biggest evidence. From the best thing, he said, you bring me from the Quran, ayah tathir, ayah wilayah, I will answer to you. Bring me the best you have from the Sunnah, Ghadir, I will answer to you. Everything will backfire. I was like, I've never met in my life a confident Sunni, especially, early 2000. There was not many websites, dealing with this stuff. Probably there was not a single Sunni website except this one. Anyway, brother, days and weeks of exchanging mails. Until I reached a point, and now we're really reaching the end, where I said, that's it, I can't be Shia anymore. Shiism is 12, we have to be precise. 12ism is based on mutashabihat and biggest evidences. I loved one thing he taught me, this ex-Shia scholar. He said to me, Hassan, listen, all false religions, you can expose them and find out their weakness. Look, what is their main da'wah? What is their main call? What is their main beliefs? And look on what is it based? How strong are the foundations? He said, you go to the Christians. They believe that Jesus is the literally begotten Son of God, and you have to worship Him, and He's literally God. Then you ask for evidences. I once had a debate with an Egyptian lady, Christian. I asked her, for example, what is your strongest evidence? She said, Al-Yashu' khubz al-hayah. She said in Egyptian accent, she said, Al-Masih, he said, Jesus is the bread of life. And I said to her, Ukhti, so you believe in this horrendous belief according to monotheists, even to Jews, to us Muslims first and foremost, but even Jews consider this a horrendous belief that Jesus is literally the Son of God. This is kufr, this is incarnation, this is your dalil? This is the best you can bring? So this teacher of mine, this friend of mine said to me, go to any other sect, Qadianis, so-called Ahmadis, any other wrong sect. Look at the main foundation and ask them, bring me your best. I don't want your second best. I don't want your second best hadith, 12 Khalifa. Brother, we don't need this. 12 Khalifa hadith. Bring me your Ghadir. Hassan bin Rashid, we proved, all of you. Wallahi, Ghadir proves nothing. Ghadir was understood exactly as Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah understand it. Wallahi, the way Ghadir Khum, the famous incident of Ghadir Khum, where Shias claimed that the Prophet appointed Ali as a successor. This is not true. Of course, it's also not true that the Prophet only said, that's my friend. This is straw man. They make up straw men. The Sunnis say that the Prophet ﷺ said, this is my friend. Nobody had claimed this. Sunnis have written about it. It has a context. Ghadir does not prove wilaya imama of Ali, let alone of 11 other ones. We talked a little bit about ayat tathir. For the sake of argument, even if we would surrender, let's call it surrender and say, okay, verse 33, Surah Ahzab, so-called ayat tathir, is about Ahlul Bayt. Right, Ahlul Bayt. Kisa, you said, Ahlul Kisa, the 5. How do you include the others? With what permission? What will you see? Ahlul Sunnah, brother, I believe is so superior, and I was taught this by this ex-Shia Sheikh. The beliefs of Ahlul Sunnah are so superior, so clear, so founded and hold on strong pillars, let's call it, that we can even go the extra mile and say to our opponents, Tayyib, even if I surrender in this case, still your religion is not proven. Even if Ghadir is about Ali, where's the Ghadir for the other 11? Even if ayat 33 is about Kisa, 5 people, with what permission you add the other ones? Of course they will come up with what? More ambiguous and more ambiguous arguments. And this is where we reach the end, that the last advised this ex-Shia friend ago, and if he watches right now, I sent my salams to him because he was a super help for me to really to leave Shiism completely. Because I was at this stage when I came back to Iran, and when I debated and discussed with him at the beginning, where I said, I'm not a Shia anymore, I can't be a Shia, but I can't be a Sunni as well. Why? Because I was all these years Sunnis follow Umayyads, Bani Umayyah. Abu Hurairah, I don't know, is a liar, radiallahu anhu. He made up a hadith. Umar killed Fatima, I don't know. And Abu Bakr did this, and Khalid bin Walid did this. All these things that the likes of Naqshbandi, when they're in their own mosques, when they discuss this, are apparently not ready, or maybe, inshallah, they are ready to discuss it with knowledgeable Sunni brothers. All these things were, of course, in my mind, so it was difficult for me to make this decision. And it was not a light, I didn't take it, how you say it in English, lightly? I didn't take it lightly. I was not the kind of person who said, okay, I'm going to leave now. I did not take the decision lightly. It caused me trouble in my life. I can never visit my country again, especially as long as these mullahs are ruling there. I don't mind, alhamdulillah. I have Allah as the ex-Shia Bahraini brother who wrote a book, famous book in Arabic. I did not lose Ahl Bayt. I kept my Ahl Bayt, and I have the Sahaba. I have authentic Islam, pure Islam. I know that I have plenty of narrations from Ali bin Abi Talib in the Sunan, in the 9 books of Hadith, more than Abu Bakr and Uthman together, with more narrations from Ali. So I did not lose anything. One last advice I would give to you, the viewers, and everybody really, is that, look, we have to be straightforward, we have to be honest with each other. Some people might call this very session here sectarian, and why talking about these things when Muslims have trouble, are in trouble here and there, and wars are going on. We say, for everything there's a situation and a time. This is correct. But what's the problem discussing these things honestly? Everybody, I always say, in this age has a mimbar. In Arabic we say it has a pulpit. Everybody has a camera, can do a speech. Yes, many people watching right now might curse me, might say that I'm a liar, I don't know. Everybody's free. But the thing is, they must accept that it's not the time for the Ahl Sunnah, inshallah. It's now our time. For years, Sunnis just watched. We are not sick, wallahi, compared to what they do. Their TV channels, as I said, revolve most of the time about what? Sunnism, Sahaba did this, Sahaba did that. I mentioned Ahl Bayt TV has a whole show about so-called converts. We Ahl Sunnah, it's not like, brother, we don't have ex-Shias. Wallahi, in this very city alone that I visit right now, I have seen so many, and I know so many ex-Shia brothers. We have many. And in Iran, there's a phenomenon, akhi. It's acknowledged by the regime and by Ayatollahs. You have heard probably in Ahwaz, thousands and 100,000 of people have become Sunnah. So much that even the regime is not denying it. It's just we do not convey these news to the Ummah. Ahl Sunnah, we have to be honest, we are muqassirin. We haven't done our homework. There's a lot of books by ex-Shia scholars. They are much more worthy to be heard about than me, but it's not been translated, brother. That's
Jazakumullahu khairan. It's been a pleasure having you on today. I would like to say that, the Quran makes it very clear in Surah Al-Rum, the 30th chapter, in the 32nd verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, مِنَ الَّذِينَ فَرَّقُوا دِينَهُمْ وَكَانُوا شِيَعًا كُلُّ حِزْبٍ بِمَا لَدَيْهِمْ فَرِحُونَ. And he also says in Surah Al-An'am, in the 159th verse, if I'm remembering correctly, a very similar verse, but then he says to the Prophet, the ones who farraqu dinahum, and the ones who basically break away the religion, lasta minhum fi shay, that you, O Prophet Muhammad, have nothing to do with them. These are 2 examples of actually evidences from the Quran where the word Shia is actually being used explicitly. Obviously, it's not talking about what we know as Shiism today, but what it is saying is, because the word Shia means group and sect, what we're saying is, let's stick to the Quran and the Sunnah and the Prophet. That is what we believe in, right? Don't become a Shia, or become a Shia in the sense that don't become a group, don't become a sect. And this is not what I'm saying, this is what Allah is saying. And as a Muslim, anyone can identify with that. So this is really why we call ourselves Sunni or Ahl Sunnah, Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, because we follow the Jama'ah. In other words, we follow the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you don't like that terminology, we just say that we are Muslims who follow the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is in the Quran who we're meant to follow. I say, guys, if anything me or the brother has said has upset you guys, well, we're trying to do that. We were just really trying to convey a proper message to you guys. We think it's your right to know these things, and you should be subscribing now to our channel, and inshallah we will be producing more videos in the future. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. Go on.
So, a shout out to the websites, this one.
All right, sorry, this is important. And a shout out.
Sonsofsunnah.com and 12shia.net.
Sonsofsunnah.com and 12shia. It'll be in the description box. I'll put it in the description box. They'll see that.
Oh, okay.
Anything else you want to add?
No, this is
It's natural. Now you guys know this. We're not plagiarizing.
طيب في مئات من الشيعة تصمم اليوم في عالم مفتوح على بعض، العالم تحضر تلفزيونات، فضائيات، انترنت، في شيعة بيتسمموا، في سنة بيتشيعوا، بس حالات فردية. ما تحكيني بالملايين عم يتشيعوا وين؟
مع كل هذا الجهد الوهابي اللي يسووه قدروا يوهبون شيعيا واحدا. ما استطاعوا.
جل قدره